Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the 901/510 Pyrex glass drip tip, which I received from www.e-cig.com. Before I start, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion on the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, so it's basically a drip tip that it's made out of like the glass or Pyrex. Not a great deal I can really sort of tell you about it in this review, because obviously it is just a drip tip, but nevertheless we'll go ahead and I'll show you in a bit more detail and just give you a brief sort of demonstration on how I personally use a drip tip. Okay, so here you go. Okay, for the benefit of beginners or anyone who's not even heard of an electronic cigarette or direct dripping or drip tips, basically electronic cigarette has uses an atomizer, and it uses a cartridge that's filled with like a polyester wool that's soaked in a substance called e-liquid. Now you put the cartridge onto the atomizer, they connect together, and then what happens is the e-liquid will then transfer into the atomizer, and once it reaches like the heating coil, it then becomes vaporized and produces the vapor. Now the problem with the cartridges is that they don't often wick fast enough, and by that what I mean is that the e-liquid doesn't travel fast enough down into the atomizer to give a consistent vape. So then people had the idea of doing what's a process called direct dripping, and that's where you take off the cartridge and you get your e-liquid, and rather than adding it directly to the actual cartridge, you drip the drops straight onto the atomizer. And depending on what sort of atomizer you're using, I find personally that around sort of 3 or 4 drops is roughly the equivalent of like 1 cigarette's worth of vaping. And the problem with that was though is that you had the obviously had to take off the cartridge, direct dripped, and then put it back on again. And then some bright spark had the idea of creating a drip tip. And a drip tip is basically like a hollow tube, and that just fits onto your atomizer, and it allows you to then direct drip your drops straight into the top there, vape away, and obviously you don't need to worry about sort of taking it off and on again. So that is basically what a drip tip is. This is the one that I received from the e-cig.com, and like I said, it's made out of Pyrex. It's a nice sort of tough sturdy material. It does come with one O-ring attached to it, plus they also include a spare one as well. Now this will fit onto a 510 atomizer or a 901 atomizer. So all you've got to do is basically just get it, and then that slots in there. Now I do find though that with most strip tips I've ever had, like they do just click in straight away, nice and easy, but get rid of that little hair. I do find with this one, you have to try and find the right spot for it to go in, because sometimes this will happen. You can see the O-ring sort of starts pushing itself out, but literally, if you just keep on sort of gradually twisting it as you're doing it, then eventually the O-ring sorts itself out and it slots in there nicely. And once it is in there, like it's in there nice and solid as well. Okay, so to use a drip tip, all you got to do quite easily is get your e-liquid and very carefully just drop it straight down to the hole. So I'm just going to add about 3 or 4 drops. And if you can do it like a direct hit, so it goes through the hole and then straight onto the atomizer, that's better, because you don't really want it going down the side here. But as you can see, I've just dropped it 3 or 4 drops in there, and I've got nothing sort of clinging onto the side here. It's gone straight down. Okay, so let's go and well, I'll say let's go and see what it vapes like. Bear in mind it is just a drip tip, so it's not going to make that much of a difference really, but anyway, let's go and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that is the Pyrex drip tip, obviously compatible with a 510 or a 901. A little bit fiddly to sort of get in there, but once it is in there, it's nice and solid and it's not going to sort of go anywhere. And good thing is that when you're dropping your e-liquid in there, it doesn't tend to sort of pull up at all. It does sort of hit the side and zoom straight down into the actual atomizer, which is a good thing. So obviously that helps sort of prevent getting any e-liquid sort of coming up back into your mouth. Now I have had a few vapes on this since the close-up shot, so I'm just going to add a few more drops now, and I'm using the USA tobacco e-liquid, which they also kindly sent out to me. So I'm using a low resistance 510 atomizer, so I'm just going to about 4 or 5 drops. Actually 3 drops I think, because I've already only had a few vapes. I think I might have flooded it, but let's have a look. No, it's alright, so just a little bit of an airlock or something. I could just see it sort of pulling up at the top there, but a couple of drags and it's all gone down there nice. Now, I can't really say to you, you know, he's producing excellent vape and that sort of stuff, because the drip tip's got no effect on any performance whatsoever. You know, I could use any drip tip and I'd be getting exactly the same amount of vape that you'll see now. I'll be getting exactly the same throw hit. You know, but you know, it is a very nice drip tip, very unique as well. Obviously, if you get one, no two will ever be the same because they are handmade. Obviously, you must get somebody who's a glass blower or something like that, you know, and very clever to be able to sort of, you know, blow a piece of glass, you know, just to that sort of size and to be quite accurate enough to be able to get it to fit into the atomizer securely as well, you know, so kudos to that person there. Like, you know, it does work very well. You know, you put your e-liquid in there and it drops straight down. It doesn't, well, it did pull out. That was the first time it's ever actually pulled up at the bottom, but like I said, I think that's probably more my fault than the actual drip tip, because I had already added quite a few drops beforehand. So you obviously just needed to sort of burn off a little bit for it to sort of go down there. But overall, you know, they're very nice drip tips, nice and sort of comfortable in your mouth. I must admit, when I first got it, I was quite sort of cautious about using it. Now, I'm one of these sort of people that if you put me next to a cliff, I'll jump off it. Not because I want to jump off it, just because in my brain it's the last thing I want to do, so I'm going to end up doing it. It's the only way I can sort of describe it. It must be some sort of psychological problem with me. And the same thing with this, when I got this, I was thinking, you know, it's glass in my mouth, and I really did get a strong urge to just want to crack down on it and bite it. And obviously, just sort of, I don't know why, I'm just a bit of a strange person in that sense. So obviously, I wouldn't advise you do that. But once I got over that sort of bit of a, not of a, well, I suppose a little bit of fear of the actual sort of glass break or anything, and just realised obviously it's made out of Pyrex, so it's very nice and strong and sturdy. You know, then after that it was fine, but unless you're a weirdo like me, who's got those sort of weird sort of tendencies, then you know, it's not going to affect you at all. It's a very nice drip tip, and there's not a lot else I can really tell you about it. You know, if you fancy trying one out for yourself though, then go along to www.the-e-cig.com. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.